This is the Career Foundation's Future at Work podcast and webinar series. Each episode, we explore critical topics affecting the workforce and workplace, with a key focus on new and emerging trends across high-growth industries. Whether we're discussing the skilled trades, youth wellness and education, or supports for persons with disabilities, you'll learn about some great resources to help you, or someone you know, navigate current and future careers. You can visit us at careerfoundation.com to learn about all of our programs and services. Thanks for listening.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Career Foundation's Future at Work podcast. I am excited about this edition because I am here with two wonderful women at the Career Foundation who's been leading services for our clients to get into the tech space, specifically women transitioning out of service sector that's been really hit by COVID into the tech sector, which is an opportunity for many, many years to come. And that's really where the workforce is going. So I am excited to speak with this group of women this morning. My name, as you know, is Evelyn Akselrod, and I am your host. And today I am joined by Kerry, Kettle, and Danielle Vidal. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for having us. We're really excited about speaking with you today.
And happy International Women's Month.
Yes, happy International Women's Month, and thank you, Evelyn, for inviting us to be here today.
Phenomenal. I've been looking forward to this chat. So why don't we get started by you each telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we can get into some specifics about the program that you're representing. Who wants to get started?
Sounds great. I can start. So just a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Kerry Kettle, and thank you so much for that introduction, Evelyn. I am presently the program coordinator for the Path to Customer Success program with the Career Foundation. It's a program that we started in March of 2021. And I've been an employee of the Career Foundations for quite a few years, and I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you.
Yes, and my name is Danielle Vidal. I've been with the Career Foundation for 1 year, since the beginning of this program on April 2021. But I've been working with women, and especially immigrant women, for 5 years now. So it's a pleasure being here.
And your wealth of experience combined really has brought that program into such a space where it's being recognized for the beautiful work that it's doing. Can you tell us a little bit more about the program itself, Path to Customer Success?
Sure, I can get started on that piece in terms of the origination and really the purpose of the program. The project idea really originated because of the COVID-19 pandemic that all over the world has been feeling over the past couple of years. And it became very apparent quite quickly that difficulties surrounding women were much higher than the general population when it came to deal with the pandemic itself. And we were seeing it really, especially in the service sector, because we know service sector was an area that was really hit quite hard by COVID-19 because it was a lot of times very in person. We also know that there is certainly a high percentage of female workers in the service sector as well. We saw so many women being laid off and furloughed, and in some cases, their companies, their employers, who were small businesses, which is what Canada is mostly made up of, they had to close up indefinitely. So their job was lost for an indefinite period of time. And in terms of the program itself, we were seeing this, and we really wanted to create something that women in Ontario could be upskilled from their already existing customer service competencies through these service sector roles, and really move them into a sector that could possibly be perceived as being more stable and flexible in the future, and especially during uncertain times. So we really had our eyes on the tech sector. And the customer success occupation was chosen. It's certainly a fairly new occupation in Canada, in the United States. And it's very much a hybrid role. We see it as a hybrid role that links customer service skills to selling, so upselling and cross-selling, and then also to data analytics as well, and analyzing the pieces that are coming from those customers, whether it's a B2B type of relationship or a B2C type of relationship. It's certainly a role that we're seeing a lot more with SaaS companies, and we're also seeing the very large companies bringing in customer success departments now as well. And then really, and also an important part of the program is that it was intentionally constructed to be remote learning, remote work environment. And this has really allowed for a great deal of flexibility for female participants, especially when there's so many things that are going on in their lives, and even more so because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, and to add to that, our program was created to spend 2 years and provide 120 women in 5 cohorts the opportunity to gain 3 micro-credentials. So the trainings that we offer over the 15 weeks of training piece is career resilience and future readiness, where we prepare them for the future of job, right? And how to build those career resilience so much needed now in the labor market. Then they move to remote work learning, which is their first micro-credential. So for 2 weeks, they will have training and they will learn how to be a remote worker, not just in a physical space, but in their mindsets. So how can I communicate with my team when I am in a remote work environment? How can I make clear that I'm achieving my goals as an employee in a remote work environment? After the remote work training, they jump to the fundamentals of selling online with CPSA, the Canadian Professional Sales Association. 3 weeks of training to learn how to techniques of sales, but also upselling and cross-selling. This is a very dynamic training with lots of videos, webinars, and teamwork. Then they will have the data analysis training with Lighthouse Labs, which is an amazing training where they will learn how to collect the data from customers and how to interpret those data and apply them into their role. And finally, they have the ripen piece, where they have the opportunity to work on hands-on projects with real companies and apply everything that they have learned into real projects for 4 weeks. After finishing the 15 weeks of training, they move to the placement. So the idea is really get a 12-week paid placement for them. But what we are seeing now is that employers, they do not want just 12 weeks of employment. They want a full-time employee with them. So we are very fortunate to see that most of our participants have now full-time employment after finishing the 50 weeks of training.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. So we've predicted where this was going, and we're seeing the results, and we're seeing employers having that demand and willing to take on people through this training.
Yes, that's correct.
That's fantastic. Now, the selling piece, Danielle, that you speak about, I know for me, has always been an intimidating kind of skill, and there's some, not so positive things people think about when they think about sales. How's this sales training a little bit different?
Yes, so sales is for sure a little bit intimidating for most of people. And we know that because when we interview candidates for our program, at least half of them will say, I'm not that comfortable with sales. And this is the beauty of our sales training, because they will learn that sales is not a technique. We are selling something all the time. Even in an interview, we are selling our skills. We are letting the interviewer know who we are and how can we add to the company. So this is the concept that this training is bringing to our participants, to let them know that sales is a natural skill. And when you have the right techniques, you can apply it to your job. And the outcomes are great. They, as a final project for this piece of training, they need to do a 5 to 10 minutes video selling a product or a service. Yeah.
And I think I once heard sales described as consultative, and that's kind of really shifted how I now think about sales, where sales, especially during and after COVID, it was really connecting to people and understanding what they needed to help them get through what they were going through and helping to find the right solution for them. And that really changed the way I looked at sales. It was just, you have something that other people want, or you have many things that other people want. What is it that will help them best move forward? And that's what you would offer them. And so I think that that's a beautiful part of sales. And people need to sort of redefine what that really is, especially today.
Yes, I agree. In the past, we saw sales as someone is calling me, offering something that I don't want and I don't ask it for. I didn't ask for, right? And now we are seeing sales, especially for customer success professionals, as upselling. So the concept of upselling is really understanding your customer, develop this long-term relationship with your customer, and then offering them something that they really need, or they don't know that they need, but that will add value to the product or service they already have.
I love that. Yeah. Kerry, you wanted to add something?
I was just going to say that the one thing about the customer success role is it's so fluid. It's so back and forth where, and as Danny mentioned, the sales is such a natural piece because you almost feel like you're not selling, you're just making a suggestion or you're solving a problem by making a suggestion, if that makes sense. And it's really about, having the customer either come to you as a CS professional or you going to the customer themselves as a CS professional because you've seen something in their data in terms of the product or service that you're offering them as a company. And you see an area that maybe they can switch over to another service that might make more sense for them based on their habits.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Now, of course, customer success is a growing field. Like you said, it's new and anyone could get into it. But tell me why you think it's important now more than ever for women in the workforce and women specifically in the tech workforce. Why do you see that is being extremely important?
Yes, absolutely. So particularly as we've come through or hopefully have come through a COVID-19 pandemic, things have certainly been difficult for women, as I've talked about. And we know that more women in Canada have had diagnosis of COVID-19. We know that there's more deaths when it comes to women as well. So it's been a challenge. It's been a struggle for their lives, and really what makes sense for them is to have economic stability, and to have stability in general when it comes to a career path moving forward. And in one of those ways is to introduce them to stable environments when it comes to fields or sectors. We really feel as though tech is a great way to do that because we know that tech is flexible. We know that tech is here to stay, and it's always evolving, bringing in other ideas and AI and different future trends is there really seems to be a lot to the future when it comes to tech. And in terms of this environment as well, coming with the flexibility, we saw that the tech sector was able to pivot easily when it came to a pandemic or even a recession or something that could happen down the road, where we could work from home. Women could work from home, and it's so important to have that piece in terms of women's lives, just because they have such dynamic lives in terms of other responsibilities as well.
Absolutely. Danielle, you wanted to add something there?
Yeah, sure. Just want to add that as we are seeing in this program, and again, we are very fortunate of being able to work with women, because when it's how many lives we are impacting, right? We may think that we are impacting 120 lives, but it's much more than that. When you help a woman to re-enter the workforce, when you motivate her, when you inspire her, when you give her the support that she needs to upgrade her skills, these women, she has sisters, she has friends, she has children, she has her partner, she has people around her that will see her rise, right? And then she will be an inspiration for those people as well. So the beauty of our program is really that one. We are impacting 120 women directly, but indirectly we are impacting much more. And when one woman succeeds, all of the other women around her will succeed as well.
Love that, Danielle.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's what this program is really meant to do, is to give women a platform to rise, but to help others rise with them, right? So thank you for that. And it really is the theme of International Women's Month, and it is about empowering women and empowering others around you. And of course, it's is break the bias, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into this further. Going back to you, Kerry, something you talked about, the dynamic roles of women and just the household responsibilities, parental responsibilities. And it's already so difficult for women to maintain that balance. With COVID, they had to become teachers as well, and nurses, and all of that at home. And luckily, your program allows them to work remotely. But there is that sort of inherent conflict where they're doing more at home and now in terms of household responsibilities, but working at home. So how do you, through your program, help them to find ways of bringing balance back into their lives?
Absolutely, Evelyn. And it's so true what you indicated, or what you stated. We've absolutely seen firsthand the struggles that women are really having in terms of balancing all the things that they have in their lives. We are also a team of women with the Path to Customer Success program. And as such, we get it. So when a participant does come to us and say, I need some extra guidance, or I need some extra support because I was in the hospital all night with a sick child, or because they need to go back home for a couple of weeks because they have a sick parent, or even all of the devices are being used in my household because everybody's learning virtually, everybody's at home. So we get it. We understand where they're coming from through lived experiences, through that piece as well. And we are so fortunate to get the opportunity to meet and to guide or to coach women who truly want to make their lives better by learning and adding to their competencies, especially when it comes to the technology piece. And we absolutely feel as though it's our responsibility to be their cheerleaders, their coaches, their guides, and the sounding boards to these women as well. And one of the most important roles and ways that we can support is really to be a sounding board for them, as everyone has had their own journey through COVID-19 or otherwise, whether it's been loss of friends or family or challenges with vaccinations, dealing with immunocompromised selves or family members. But just having individuals to truly listen to them is sometimes really, really all it needs in terms of the support. But with that, we also do have wraparound services that we offer through the program itself as well. So we are able to offer assistance when it comes to things like the technology piece or emergency childcare or travel if necessary, or even counseling, because we know many of the women are really struggling during this time in many different capacities. So that's certainly something we've been able to assist with as well.
Yeah, I mean, right now, women need as much support and empathy as possible because they are carrying a lot. Um, and you know, the tech field allows for that remote work in itself. And I think that there's a movement in just workplaces across the board where they are trying to put employees first. And I hope that that continues. There is some learning that we've seen through COVID, but I hope we don't revert back to old ways, or else employees will not stay, you know, and that is not, that's not good for any workplace. So really, really important to help us to maintain that balance and integrate work into our lives in some way instead of it competing with our lives, right?
So true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Going back to your the theme of International Women's Day and month, Danielle, breaking the bias. Am I saying that right? I think I might not have gotten the term right.
Yes, this break the bias.
Break the bias.
Yes,
Very
yes.
good. So I wasn't off. So we've seen over decades that there has been improvements incrementally for gender equality in the workplace, but we know there is a lot more to do. And I remember talking to one CEO and explaining that there are more men called John than there are women CEOs. And I think we learned that from Sheryl Sandberg when she did her research into Lean In and founded leanin.org. But there is still so much more to do. What kind of indicators would you look for? What markers would you look for to really start feeling confident that we are consistently making progress over time?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when I saw that, when I heard that statement about more CEOs named John, that women at the CEO, it really made me think, wow, we have so much room to improvement here, right?
Mhm.
So I think the first step is we keep saying that women need to support women. We need to help each other. But as far as this statement, we need men in this as well, right? If we have most of companies with men in the CEO positions or in the board of directors positions, they need to step up and they need to be there for women to achieve these positions as well. It's amazing that the job that I seen that women are doing for each other. An example is our program, and the Career Foundation is launching other programs focused on women. So, but we still need men to do that as well. And this is going to be a huge step when we have men acknowledging that there is bias in the workplace, not related only to gender, but related to the race or age or ethnicity, right? So they need to acknowledge that there is bias, and it's their responsibility as well to break that bias. And this was one of the activities that we had in the webinar that we delivered for the Career Foundation on the International Women's Day. It was the team was bias in hiring. And some scenarios were presented to the teams, and they would discuss why was that a problem and how can we acknowledge the problem and make sure that this is not happening anymore. One story that we also heard of another webinar that we delivered on the same day for the Path to CS participants in the evening is that it was of a woman who was in the same position for 7 or 8 years. And then she applied for a promotion opportunity in the company. And then she was asked by the talent acquisition why she waited so long. And the response that was that she didn't have the confidence to take the leap until now. 7 or 8 years in the same position. And the same is happening when women are trying to ask for an increase in their salary, right? They do not feel confident about asking for the increase because opposed to men, women, we tend to rationalize everything. So I need to have the reason 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 before I take the next step on my career or before I ask for a salary increase. Opposed to men, because they when they feel confident of doing that, they just ask, right? But for us, for women, it seems like we are never enough. We also always have room to improve, and until we don't get that improvement, we do not feel comfortable in moving forward. And of course, we have lots of work to do as women in regards to that, but the men in the C-level positions, they need to acknowledge that this is a cultural or maybe an issue in the society, that women need to prove themselves more and more before they move forward in their careers. And that's why I think that the premise in breaking the bias is bringing everyone together. It's not just a women issue, it's a humanity issue, right? We need to be together to break the bias in the workplace.
Yeah, I love that. It's a human issue, it's a societal issue, because 50% of the workforce can't be struggling with something. And we have a massive skill bias and talent shortage, and we're not trying to help women to break some of those barriers for them to be able to grow and step into the potential that they clearly have, that they have been proving all along, but they don't hold the positions that they can influence. So that's really important. It takes all of us. And that male allyship is really important. And I think I've observed that there has been some narrative changes, some male allyship groups happening in some large companies, but that needs to trickle down. That needs to become the everyday. That needs to become the general understanding instead of a nice innovative thing. It's 50% of the workforce here that's struggling to be able to produce what they want to be able to produce and what the company's dying for us to produce, but help us to get rid of some of these systemic barriers that's holding us back, right? Yeah.
So true. Yes.
Wonderful. Kerry, you wanted to add?
When Danny was talking about the panel that we put on for International Women's Day, we were very intentional with bringing in the male voice as well.
Yes.
So we wanted to have individuals from HR. So we had 2 talent acquisition specialists, and one was male and one was female. And it was incredible just having his perspective relayed and having, as you said, Evelyn, that allyship through him, and the suggestions that he made and the encouragement that he brought to the table as well, in terms of how women can move forward. And even if they've already found employment, if they're in a career path, but how can they elevate themselves into a larger role or a larger piece for that within the company that they're in. And it was so encouraging to see that both men and women have the same thought processes, and certainly it's something that we absolutely want to see moving forward as well.
Absolutely. And it's important to have those conversations at the HR level, at the C level, because those are the positions that create the policies that can get in the way of women being able to grow and contribute in their workplaces. And so those policies are the systems that hold us back, right? And so we have to be able to have conversations at the right levels with those allies to remove the barriers. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Evelyn. I just want but one more detail that I just came to my mind now. I remember in the end of the International Women's Day, we were talking about the talent acquisitions, and we all agreed that because of the pandemic, men are now at home, working from home, right? And they are seeing the other side of the household, right? Because it was like a female predominant role to be at home, taking care of kids, taking to doctor's appointment, or taking care of remote school, this kind of thing. And now that men are remote as well, they are seeing that. And for me, it's like I can see that by seeing that, they will be able to support more women in the workforce now.
Mm.
That's
And
what I expect.
certainly, and certainly, if there are any excuses to that, it's not a lack of awareness, because now you know.
Yes, yes.
That's a great point, Danielle. So then this program sounds wonderful. It helps women to sort of set their lives up for success. And because it's designed for women, you're looking at all of the facets of a woman's life and bringing that into balance. So tell us a little bit about how women who are listening to us can actually join our program and benefit in this way.
Absolutely, would love to. So with the program itself, really the first step is to complete our online application, which can be found on our webpage. And then once this is done, all of the applicants are actually invited to a virtual information session. So this is a full hour session, and we talk about everything in terms of the Path to Customer Success program. So what customer success is, the eligibility and the suitability for the program as well. We also talk about company expectations, and we added this piece because we feel as though it's so important to really, for individuals to have a sense of what companies are looking for, especially when it comes to customer success. It's, as I mentioned, it's a relatively new role, and companies have had positions over the past couple of years, or they're brand new to this opportunity, and they each have their own definitions. So we talk about that a little bit as well. And then of course we look at the timelines and the milestones as well. We leave lots and lots of time for questions, and we love having the questions come in from the attendees. And a couple of common questions that were asked is can you work and still participate in the program? And we tell participants or candidates that you can work still. It would be very difficult if you had full-time employment, just because it is a full-time training opportunity. But we have had candidates in the past who have worked part-time and were very successful in the evenings and the weekends as well. And then beyond that, we ask the participants to send us their resume and request an interview through email. So we do have a 30-minute interview that we have with the participants, where we have a one-on-one conversation about why they are interested in the opportunity itself, what they're finding to be most exciting about the opportunity, and then going through the eligibility and suitability as well. But we really want this to be an opportunity for, again, the candidates to ask us questions too. So especially at a one-to-one pace. And I'll have Danny explain the Microsoft Excel assessment as well.
Yeah, so the purpose after the interview, I send them the Excel assessment, and the purpose is really to understand their level of knowledge, or the the knowledge that they have in Excel, because the data analysis training is really Excel focused. And they really they need to be familiar with Excel in order to be successful in this portion of the training. So basic to intermediate is what we are looking for. They do not have to be experts in formulas or pivot tables, nothing like this, but they do need to understand the simple formulas like average or multiplying or dividing numbers, and they need to be able to create a table with some numbers and data that we provide to them. The Excel assessment, usually we give them a couple of days to solve, And if they do not achieve the minimum level that we are looking for, we provide them with an online tool where they can practice and they can have a second attempt on the Excel assessment as well. It's a huge, it's very important, this piece of the selection process, because data analysis is the heaviest training that we have in terms of content, in terms of being on live webinars from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the purpose of the training is to give them the skill to analyze data and not basic Excel itself. So they need to have this basic Excel to be successful in the training.
Yeah, I mean, it's basic Excel. You are providing a learning tool for them to upgrade their skills and to try again. But we're not talking about programming here, right? And the one thing I think we need to acknowledge is how women feel about the tech space. And that too can be intimidating. But clearly, what we've done here is there's a bridge from customer service where there's so many women working, a bridge into the tech sector through customer success, which is very well related to customer service. And then you're developing some technical skills as you get into the tech space through the Excel, through the data analytics. And so, as you get into the tech space, and then you start learning anything else that you're interested in. But, I want to make sure that women recognize it's Excel. Like, we've been working with Excel for years. This is not a different language. It's not Red Hat. It's not Python, right? It's nothing like that. And so it can be extremely accessible if you give yourself the opportunity to learn the tool and get comfortable and know that you have another chance, even if you realize I didn't really get that the first time around. Fair enough? Is that fair enough?
For sure. And it's when you were talking, I was just realizing that how complete the customer success professional is, because it brings that soft skills, which is dealing with customers, building relationships, right? And then they also need to have the technical side, which is dealing with data and the sales portion. So it's a very complete professional. And of course, it can be intimidating, but once they get the 3 micro credentials, they are a complete professional with soft skills and technical skills, and also the career resilience that we are training them on. So yeah, I do not see any way that they would not succeed in this role, because it's very complete.
Well, let me ask you this before we wrap up. Could you give me an example of a woman that came through the program that maybe came from hospitality, for example, because really it was designed for women affected, right, by COVID. And so it wasn't really using many technical skills in hospitality, and then they were able to transition into tech. Can you give us an example of who would be such a good candidate for this program?
Yes, I have one in my mind, and she was in cohort 1, and she was an immigrant in Canada 18 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And for 15 years or 16 years, she was working in the hospitality, either in hotels itself, but doing the cleaning or welcoming new guests to the hotel. But she didn't have this technical approach on her job. She was really a customer service in the hospitality. And then when she applied to our program, I remember interviewing her, and she said, I really need to have the technical side. I've been doing the same thing for 15 years, and I want to improve. I want to have credentials that I can show that I can do this type of job. Long story short, she was accepted to cohort 1. She was one of the most resilient participants that I've ever seen. She was willing to learn. Her active listening skills were amazing. She was always willing to take feedback, to improve herself. And when she got into her placement, she was hired as a customer success professional in a company that has partnered with us since the beginning, and she's been with them until now. And she is already, she entered as an entry level, but she's already increasing her career and she's moving to a tech lead. So it's like it's beautiful to see her history, and whenever we talk to her, she's so grateful for our program. She has tears on her eyes, Evelyn, and this is one of the reasons that I always talk about her, because it gives me the fulfillment of doing this job. Her story, she has tears on her eyes. She says, Danny, I'm so grateful for you, Kerry, and the entire Path to CS team, because you've changed my life. It's a beautiful story. Yeah, it should be everywhere, her story.
Absolutely. And what a journey she has taken herself on with your support, and where she was working in an environment where she was certainly at risk. She probably lost her job because of the pandemic. And where do you go if there are no other cleaning jobs? The entire industry has closed. And she took the opportunity, and although it might have been so intimidating, to put herself through a skill development program, to then absolutely change her life into a tech professional. Like, where else does this happen? Like, this is beautiful. Congratulations to you both, because that's what you're doing every day, is changing people's lives.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. We really appreciate that. And just to give everyone an update on where we're at with the project as well. So presently we are recruiting for cohort 4, and cohort 4 will start April 25th. And then following that, we have another cohort, which will be starting in August. So at this point, we have met so many amazing women, and but absolutely, we're open to having you connect with us and ask questions and learn more about the Path to Customer Success program.
Wonderful. And so they'll be able to get information from the Career Foundation's website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for spending this time with me and sharing a little bit about Path to Success and all of the ways that women are benefiting, but how we're really making a big difference in the lives of women in the workforce. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And listeners, thank you for joining us today. To get in touch with the Path to Success program and any of our programs here at the Career Foundation, visit careerfoundation.com or follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook or social Instagram. We're there, and it's easy for you to get connected. And just ask, once you get in touch with us, just let us know you're interested in Path to Customer Success, and we will connect you to Kerry or Danielle, and we will help you get through your journey as well. Thanks again, everyone, for a wonderful session today, and we look forward to joining you again in the next podcast. Take care, everyone, and be well.
Thanks for tuning in to the Career Foundation's Future at Work podcast and web series. To learn more about our workforce development initiatives, visit our website at www.careerfoundation.com and follow us on social media. To listen to our previous episodes, subscribe to the Future at Work podcast on iTunes or Spotify.